As a company grows, its greatest enemy often isn't the competition, it's its own complexity. What starts out as incredible speed and innovation can just devolve into chaos. To survive that, you need a force multiplier. And in this explainer, that's exactly what we're going to break down: how to build one and how to turn that chaos into a managed, secure application factory. So think about it for a second. When your company was small, you were probably moving at light speed, right? But as you added more teams, more products, more infrastructure, did that speed just start to disappear? Did you find yourself stuck in gridlock, just waiting on tickets and approvals? Believe me, this is a super common pain point. And this quote, man, it really gets to the heart of the matter. It's such a powerful idea. While you're busy watching the market, the real threat is growing internally. It's that tangled web of processes, tools, and dependencies that just grinds everything to a halt. This slide really shows the two extremes, doesn't it? Over on the left, you've got the dream state, a small, agile team just pushing out features. But on the right, well, that's the reality for a lot of enterprises. Hundreds of teams, each with their own way of doing things, creating this environment that's just chaotic, inconsistent, and honestly, pretty risky. Taming this beast is the core challenge. So how do we fix it? Well, the solution is to build a force multiplier. What we're talking about is creating an internal developer platform, which really just acts as a centralized automated system. The whole goal is to transform that chaos into a well-oiled, secure application factory. And this isn't just about a new tool. It's a completely new way of operating. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to start by digging a little deeper into that complexity trap. Then we'll cover how to lay the foundation for a factory. After that, we'll go inside, see how it all works, look at how it transforms the developer experience, and finally wrap it all up with the ultimate payoff, getting both speed and control. First up, the enterprise complexity trap. This is all about that journey from the initial burst of startup velocity to the slow, frustrating grind of enterprise gridlock. It happens when every new team adds its own tools, every new service creates new dependencies, and every single security requirement adds another manual step. Without a plan, you're not really scaling. You're just getting bigger and slower. Okay, enough about the problem. Let's start talking about solutions. To build our application factory, we absolutely need a solid foundation. You just can't build a high-speed assembly line on shaky ground, right? So we're going to start by architecting the factory floor itself. And that foundation is what Google Cloud calls the Enterprise Foundations Blueprint. The best way to think about this is like it's the concrete slab, the plumbing, and all the electrical wiring for our factory. It's a secure, structured, and standardized starting point that makes sure everything we build on top of it is consistent and compliant from the get-go. Now, what's really cool about this is how it breaks down that foundation. We're talking a clear org structure, baseline permissions, secure virtual networking, and built-in security controls. And, this is the crucial part, an automated pipeline to deploy the foundation itself. This means your core infrastructure is built programmatically, ensuring every single part of your environment is repeatable and auditable from day one. There's just no room for human error. All right, with the foundation poured, we can start building the actual machinery. Let's go inside the app factory and take a look at the assembly line for your code. This is where developer velocity really takes off. A key piece of this machinery is the GKE fleet. So if your individual Kubernetes clusters are like different work areas, a fleet lets you manage all of them as one single logical unit. The impact here is huge. Think about it. A single policy change can be pushed to dozens of production environments instantly. This just eliminates the manual errors and configuration drift that plagues so many large organizations. Now, on that factory floor, you definitely don't want teams bumping into each other. And that's where multi-tenancy comes in. The platform is designed to give each application team, or tenant as we call them, their very own isolated, secure workstation. This means they have everything they need to work, but they can't possibly interfere with the team next to them. This separation of responsibilities is just critical for security and stability. And this slide, this is where you can see how it all comes together through automation. It's a set of layered pipelines. First, the foundation pipeline builds the factory itself. Then, the multi-tenant pipeline sets up those shared assembly lines, the GKE clusters. And finally, the application CI/CD pipeline is what each team uses every day for their specific product. It's literally a factory for making factories. So, the crucial point here is that these aren't just random choices. I mean, look at this table. Running on GKE, you're leveraging Google's deep expertise in containers. The application factory model, That exists specifically to make deploying new pipelines easy and repeatable. And using immutable, signed containers, that gives you a verifiable audit trail so you know that what you tested is exactly what you deploy. Every single decision is deliberate and designed for enterprise-grade operations. Okay, now we get to the real payoff. What does all this infrastructure actually mean for the people who matter most, the developers? This is all about creating what we call a golden path that takes them from repetitive, boring toil to pure velocity. This quote just perfectly captures the dynamic. The platform team, they become the bridge builders. They're not gatekeepers, they're enablers. They define the secure, compliant guardrails for that bridge, which lets the application teams just fly across it at full speed, focusing only on writing great code, not on navigating all that complex infrastructure. And just look at this transformation. I mean, before, developers were drowning in tickets for every little thing, waiting days for infrastructure, wrestling with manual configs. It's a huge cognitive load. But after implementing the application factory, they get a self-service experience. They can spin up a new, compliant CI/CD pipeline totally on demand. Security is built in, not bolted on. Their focus finally returns to what they do best, writing code. All right, let's bring it all home. We've built the factory, we've empowered our developers. Now let's talk about the final outcome. This is about achieving speed with control, the ultimate enterprise force multiplier. The payoff is just immense. Every single deployment becomes repeatable and fully auditable. Security and policy are enforced centrally, not just left up to individual teams. You get a crystal clear separation between the platform team's job and the app team's job. All of this drastically reduces operational overhead, and most importantly, it unleashes developer velocity across the entire organization. So at the end of the day, by systematically turning that initial state of chaos into a managed, automated factory, you solve the paradox of scale. You finally achieve what every large enterprise is striving for, the ability to move fast without breaking things. That's true speed, with absolute control. Okay, this all sounds great, but a powerful system like this needs powerful documentation. A blueprint is one thing, but how do we make sure we capture the reasoning, the trade-offs, and the context behind every single architectural choice we made along the way? Well, we're going to answer that question in our next explainer, the final part of this Sentinel series, where we dive deep into architecture decision records, or ADRs. They are the key to creating a living history of your system's design. Make sure you're subscribed. Thanks for watching, and let's get ready to scale.